Speaking of your life, can you tell us a little bit about Satan's Harvest and how that changed your life and starting going in the direction of caring for big cats?
Oh, absolutely. I did two films, Satan's Harvest and Mr. King Street's War. They were both done in Africa. Um, uh, Satan's Harvest was done in, let's see, one was in Rhodesia. Yeah, that was Satan's Harvest. And Mr. King Street's War was done in South Africa. Anyway, that was in 1969 and 1970. And during those years, environmentalists all over the world were telling us, people of the world, that if we didn't do something right then to save the animals in the world from encroaching civilization, sport hunting, and poaching, by the year 2000, the wild animals would be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so my then husband being a producer, we thought, let's do a movie about the animals in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
And kicking around ideas, that answer came very quickly when we went on a photo safari in Mozambique to the Gorongosa Game Preserve. And there was a house on the preserve that had been abandoned by a game warden because it flooded during the rainy seasons. He moved out, and a pride of lion, it grew to be the largest pride in all of Africa, moved into that house.
Hmm.
And there were several, there was a second floor and a flat roof. The lions were sitting in the windows like great portraits. They were walking in and out the doors. They were napping on the verandas. The cubs were out in front. There was a couple of lions up on the roof fighting. It was candy for your eyes. Of course, it was so dangerous, you could never go near that.
Right.
I guess you could once. But it was an awesome sight to see this. And we thought, bingo, perfect movie set, animals, with which most people are infatuated with.
Mm-hmm.
And we got back to the coast, and the script was written. And, because of what we saw, many of the scenes, there were so many cats living in that house, and many of the scenes had 5, 10, 20 cats working together. And we were going to have Hollywood acting animals, a 9-month shoot over and out. However, neither of those things worked because the trainers came to us after they had read the script and said, "Oh, you're kidding, you can't do this movie." We said, "And why not?" They said, "Because of the numbers of animals that you have working together." And we said, "Well, that's what's happening in Africa."
Right.
And he said, well, no, that's not it. There's an instinctual dictate to fight a cat they don't know. I don't want my cat hurt. I don't want to be hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Get your own animals to do the movie.
Hmm.
Well, that's a romantic notion, isn't it? So anyway, that's what we did. And the first one was a rescue. And from then on, they just kept coming in because there were so many trainers in Hollywood that knew that we wanted these animals. And there was such a plethora of big cats being born in the United States to be sold as a pet or for financial gain that many of them needed a home. And so there we were. And by the 80s, we had close to 150 big cats here.
Wow.
That we had rescued. And our movie took 5 years to complete because the first scene was a fight scene with the lions. And my then husband had to play the role of the scientist because when the actors in Hollywood read the script, they said, "Are you kidding? No, I'm not doing it." Working with all those lions.
Mm-hmm.
And the first scene, he was bitten in the hand.
Oh, boy.
And the canine went right through his hand. Didn't hit a muscle, didn't hit a tendon, didn't hit a bone. Isn't that amazing?
That's very amazing.
Anyway, and you could see right through his hand. It was stunning.
Wow.
Anyway, so because of the horrible possibility of infection from the bites of these animals, he couldn't work for 6 weeks. So, that was the first incident of a problem while we were filming.
Mm-hmm.
From then on, we had, there were 8 of us who were hurt filming. I was hurt. My daughter was hurt. My two stepsons. Our DP was scalped. Jan de Bond. You've probably heard of him.
Hmm.
He was scalped. Our first AD was almost killed.
Wow.
And so by the time the movie was over, we were, really thinking long and hard about the personalities and the instinctual dictates of these animals, and they kept coming in to us. And by the year 2000, I was thinking, why are there laws stopping this?
Mm-hmm.
And it's insanity. And so I did a prototype of a bill to stop the interstate traffic. It was just sort of a baby step to eventually stop the breeding of these animals on a federal basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked my own Congressman Buck McKeon if he would take it over, and on a federal level, and he said yes. And I testified for it, and by this time I was really studying the whole issue of not only knowing these animals so well, that they are apex predators, top of the food chain,
Mm-hmm.
one of 4 of the most dangerous animals in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and our government looks at it as a business. Children are being killed and maimed for life, as well as the adult.
Mm-hmm.
And it is such a huge business that, according to U.S. Fish and Wildlife, it's on a par with illegal drugs.
Oh my goodness.
And when something like this gets that big, it becomes dangerous. And
Mm-hmm.
while I was working on that bill, because I was doing a lot of publicity about it at the same time, and I checked my phone messages, and on it was a threat on my life, and they were going to bring illnesses and diseases into the Shambala Preserve. And so, I don't run scared, but I didn't like this, and I
Mm-hmm.
the authorities, and they said, yes, it's serious, and I couldn't answer the phones. I couldn't leave the preserve without being in a rented car and have somebody with me. And we had to have the sheriff. Oh, and when I got back in the car to come back to the preserve, we had to check under the car to make sure a bomb wasn't placed
Oh boy.
under the car. The sheriff had to go through everybody's bags who came into the preserve to make sure they weren't bringing in anything that could harm me or the animals.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody who came in had to step in this pan of antiseptic that would kill all germs of any kind they were bringing in.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the FBI came in. They brought the FBI in, and they got the guy. He was an animal dealer from New Jersey.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, this is I testified for the bill, and when I did, you have 5 minutes in which to get your point across.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did, I watched everybody, and it was kind of boring, and I thought, ooh, I'm not going to read this paper. I'm going to just tell them what the issue is here.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it was my turn, I just got up, put the paper down, and looked at one of them. First I thanked them for asking me to speak. And I looked at one of them and said a 4.5-year-old boy had his arm ripped off by his uncle's pet tiger.
Oh.
They were able to retrieve that little arm and reattach it, but it's worthless.
Mm-hmm.
A little 11-year-old girl went with her father into the tiger's cage to groom the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
He closed the gate, the tiger jumped her, and she was dead.
Oh.
Bit her in the neck. 17-year-old went with her group of friends to have a picture taken with a tiger. That's a big business. And they all went up, had their picture taken. She went up. The tiger moved, stepped on her foot. She screamed, and the tiger jumped her and bit her in the neck, and she was dead.
Wow.
A little 10-year-old in Minneapolis went with his father to visit a friend who had a collection of lion and tiger. And it was his MO to bring out one of the big cats to be photographed with his guests. And a tiger had gotten a bead on the little boy, and because they're All of the big cats are very interested in children
Mm-hmm.
because they're little and they move fast and it's their prey. And he blasted through the gate and went and jumped the little boy. A lion got out. They both got that little boy, and he's a quadriplegic for the rest of his life. None of these things should happen.
Right.
So, anyway, that bill passed unanimously in the House and Senate, and President Bush signed it into law on December 19th of 2003. It's in the National Archives. So then time went by, and I thought, well, I've made this kind of awareness. Why isn't somebody doing something about getting a bill passed to stop the breeding? None of the big, the big animal organizations, none of them were doing anything. So I did another prototype of a bill, and this one's to stop the breeding of lions and tigers and leopards and all of the great cats to be sold as a pet or for financial gain. And again, Buck McKeon took it on, and it is now, it is titled Big Cats and Public Safety Protection Act. And it has, the House number is 1998, and the Senate number is 1381. Anyway, that it was introduced last May, and it rolled over into this year. So it's in committee right now, and you know what? I would really, really urge every one of your listeners to write to their senators and their congressmen to be a co-sponsor on the bill, because this is insanity to have this happen. And so many people have said, well, who wouldn't want this bill to pass? And of course, all of the breeders,
Right.
Because it's a huge business for them. And then it's the circus that has the traditional circus that has the lions and tigers in the acts and the elephants, and which is a horrible thing. They demand to be exempt. And when I heard that I would have to exempt the circus, I said, no, we're not doing that. No, they don't deserve that. I mean, these animals don't deserve to be put through that agony.
Right.
And I really fought as hard as I could, and several people, two of them came out from Washington, and said to me, Tippi, if you don't exempt the circus, this bill will not pass. And I said, yes, it will, and I'm not going to. They said, do you hear us? It will not pass. There's a man named Kenneth Feld. He owns Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. He's been up for animal abuse so many times that it's ridiculous. What he does, he pays the huge fine and continues his nasty, dirty work in beating these animals to the point where they do those stupid tricks, sitting up and standing on their heads, and dance routines, and and lions and tigers jumping through hoops of fire. I mean, it's demonic what they make those animals do. And then they're all confined. They get out of the ring and they go to their little cages and they stay there.
Yeah.
So okay, we had to exempt the circus, but you don't have to go to see it.
Right.
And I think that's the only way that we're going to stop this insanity. Kenneth Feld lives very close to, he has a house in Arlington, Virginia, very close to Washington. He has all of these lobbyists. He has all of this money that he just throws around, and he buys whatever he wants. So it's a tough situation to learn about it. Our government and how it works, and it's very disappointing at times. But I think just because of the fact that this is such a dangerous business,
Mm-hmm.
and so frightening that I really hope your listeners will check our website, Shambala, SHAMBALA
Mm-hmm.
.org, O-R-G for organization. And I have the reasons why this bill is so important, and I also have sample letters written so that you don't have to, do anything but copy that letter.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a fight worth fighting, no question.
It is, and I can't tell you how important it is.
Mm-hmm.
After the last accident, we have been in what is sort of called a lockdown situation for the animals. We have absolutely no contact. Nobody has contact. None of our staff. Even when our veterinarians come, we ask the animals to go into a holding area, and they do it happily with some meat. Meat's the most important thing in their lives,
Mm-hmm.
and they will kill you over it. You can be your best friend, anything, but there are these instinctual dictates that can never ever be removed, and the job of the big cat. A lot of people don't really think about this, but their job out in the wild is to take out all of the old animals, the sick animals, the lame animals, and they have their dinner at the same time. That's their job, and the fact that you're old reverts to humans as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when anybody comes to the preserve on a tour, and they're on crutches or they're limping or they're in a wheelchair, those cats are right up to the fence. And I'm going to give you one example of this.
Mm-hmm.
Roy Horn. When he, Siegfried and Roy.
Mm-hmm.
When Roy was dragged off the stage by the tiger, corps, they gave Kenneth Feld owned Siegfried and Roy, same circus guy,
Mm-hmm.
and they tried to put a spin on it that the tiger was trying to help Roy. Roy had a stroke on stage, and when he fell, Monocore, in his mind, was thinking, "Gee, Roy, sorry, I know you fed me with a bottle. You took a little nap every now and then. We played in the pool together, and you taught me how to be so elegant up on stage. But you know what? You're sick, and I have to take you out."
Mm-hmm.
So what good are these animals in captivity? It's like putting a loaded gun on your coffee table.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Maybe nobody will pick it up and use it. Would you take the chance?
No, I would not. No, I would not.
No. So I hope your audience will get kind of these animals, and your audience can be of so great a help getting a bill passed. I mean, I can't tell you how important your voice is, but it's only important if you use it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, we'll definitely push for it.
Oh, that would be fabulous.
Oh, absolutely.